haven't had a culture of always looking at how we can get the most value out of the things that we are doing.
To be the leading mining company in the world, one has to maximize every opportunity across all aspects and all disciplines of the business.
Every business should be seeking to maximize the value within the constraints that it has to operate in. So, I mean, it's a no-brainer that if there is another set of tools, if there's another way of thinking, that you should be using that to maximize value.
Maximizing value is maximizing value in everything we do, in all aspects of our business, so that people day in, day out are always thinking about taking the best choice. My ambition for Anglo is that we become the leading global mining company of choice. And I fundamentally believe that that is a very achievable ambition. Value-based management is about a common language. It's about common standards. It's about giving people the authority and the accountability, not just at senior levels, but all the way through the organization.
To be the global mining company of choice, there has to be a common culture, a common intent, and a common way of thinking about doing the business. What VBM does in that context is it does provide a unifying platform for everybody to start thinking in a philosophy that enables the company to come together in that aspiration.
You always have options. And the difficulty that we have in running a business is choosing the best option. You can go big, you can go small, you can go quickly, you can go slowly. All of those options have to be assessed in some manner. What value-based management does, it gives a methodology and a rigor to the process, and it forces one to assess the alternatives, to look at what the alternatives are, and then make the decision.
You have to deal with financial, qualitative, non-financial, all the aspects. So there's no danger of safety or the environment or communities being left behind as a result of us using this methodology.
It also gives everybody a measure to what they're contributing to the business. As an organization that wants to attract the best talent in the world, it also provides the basis for rewarding that talent, whether it be at an executive level or indeed on the factory floor. VBM provides you that yardstick.
We are setting ourselves an ambition that nobody else has today. And value-based management is a framework to allow us to reach that ambition.
Value is not a new metric for Anglo-American. It is the metric that we've historically used for evaluation of projects and acquisitions. What I think is new is going from creating value to maximizing value, which is a subtle but very importantly different question. I think there's a number of things that we have to get right in order to be the best metals and mining company. Value-based strategic management is a very important piece of that. And that's about making the right strategic decisions in terms of where we participate, how we participate. Other pieces include safety and sustainable development, which of course is absolutely non-negotiable. It sort of defines who we are. Asset optimization is a further different theme or initiative, which really is focused around our existing asset base and figuring out how to drive the maximum value out of our current assets. And of course, the fourth piece is talent. In other words, ensuring that you've managed to attract and get the right people into the organization, and that then you've aligned those against the correct opportunities so that we're all working together to maximize value.
VBM, in a sense, is the DNA which creates alignment from the top of the organization to the bottom, irrespective of what particular part of the organization one might work for. The key elements of VBM are threefold. Firstly, the fact base is around understanding for the particular part of the business that we're looking at where it is most likely that we will be able to operate profitably. Armed with those facts, we can then look at constructing different business models for the operation. We will be able to assess the value of those different models and choose one which is value maximizing. And that leads us to the final bucket, which is the implementation commitments, working out an action plan, accountabilities, responsibilities for implementing the chosen business model.
Superior performance really requires that you've got a superior model that you're implementing and that you've made choices that then differentiate you from your competitors. And the kinds of questions you have to address here is participation strategy. So where are we trying to compete? Which markets would we like to operate in? What customers do we want to serve? You have to think about competitive strategy. So how do we compete? How do we actually serve our customers once we've decided what products we actually want to generate? And then finally, from an organizational point of view, how as an organization are we structuring or aligning ourselves so that we can really drive the value out of these opportunities?
VBM is an excellent methodology for turning strategic aspiration and group ambition into very easily understandable action plans. The first input that we have to the process is goal setting. We are able to articulate a goal, and we have done that for Anglo American, which is a hard financial target that we want to get after. Each of the businesses and the group then needs to develop strategy to figure out how best to achieve that goal. Coming out of the strategic decision-making process is a commitment to a particular plan of action. We then need to go into a separate process to see how we resource that strategic plan of action, how we manage performance against delivery, and then how we incentivize people as they go about performing their particular piece of the implementation plan.
The very first exercise that we went through was an exhaustive look at our markets, at the market opportunity, at our organization, what's in our DNA. So creating that strategic fact base, if you like, gave us a solid foundation from which to analyze our choices into the future.
We looked at new markets. We looked at what the demand was for coal in the different markets. We looked at the regions that were best served to supply into those markets. We then looked at a lot of the information surrounding the most efficient producing, which regions had the best infrastructure, which regions were best located to serve into particular markets. So I think it's really been quite a rigorous process that we've gone through. And once we've looked at particular regions, we've then gone right down into the specific opportunities and said to ourselves, which particular projects do we believe are the ones that we would like as Anglo Coal to be involved in? And I think we understand the market better now than we have previously.
Value-based management is not something for the management or the leadership of the company. It's in fact a framework that everybody can use in every aspect of decision-making, and it impacts on everybody in the organization.
Site management teams are absolutely essential to the success of value-based management. I think it's important that they understand where the biggest value opportunities lies, that they understand what levers in the operation drives value and what destroys value. And ultimately, they have to own the projects. They have to deliver the actual value.
You can't run a global company without looking at numbers. The scale of the whole operation is just too big. So we cannot have huge machinery, vast mineral resources, and not focus on our day-to-day activities, because when you look at the number of repeated operations we've got, a couple of seconds lost here and there will translate into many, many tons over a year. So you need to bring it down to something that makes sense to the operator at the controls of the machine, that he or she knows during their shift what their impact is, and bring it back to measures that they can relate to, that they need to do so many swings per hour or minute.
I would encourage the site managers to stand back and take a serious look at the value-based management approach. Whereas in the past they might have felt constrained, we're now encouraging them to take a step into the future to see how they can maximize value in the operation.
We've looked at dragline operations, open cut operations. We are looking at the shuttle cars that support the continuous miners where they may be undersized and therefore we have long waiting times. We're looking at changes in shift patterns. So it's very much things that affect the day-to-day activities, and there will be an impact in each of the operations.
It's about everybody in all parts of Anglo taking control of their future. It's about pursuing operational excellence, it's about building a fact base, and it's about always having a list of options to choose from, and that's something that's not happened before.
It's early days yet, but I think there's no doubt that everyone who's been involved in the value-based management program to date agrees that it's a methodology that's driving a greater consistency in thinking across the group.
I've worked in base metals, I've worked in coal, and now I'm working platinum. And you can see the different things that we do and how they can be connected and how they can relate to each other. I think value-based management will bring that to us.
The world is on the march as far as natural resources are concerned, and we're part of that race to grow and develop our business interests. And it's very exciting times to be part of that.
It's about making the right choices at the right time with the right opportunities to make this organization the best that we possibly can.
There will be a requirement for us to share a lot more.
To be much more rigorous in looking at the alternatives.
It is about changing our mindsets fundamentally to know that there's always the highest value option available to ourselves.
I want people to think creatively, and I want them to think innovatively.
Expand your mind, take the lid off it, think differently, think big.
To be thinking out of the box, to be stretching their organizations to get them to another level of performance that they never dreamed about.
That's what this is all about.